next guest. The one and only Michael Kelly joins us. Michael Kelly, the Vice President of Athletics for our University of South Florida. Hey, MK, how are you? Happy Monday.
Jay, happy Monday to you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks so much, man. And I appreciate the support and the friendship over the years. It means more than you know. So excited. We've been talking about our USF Bulls for a while now. And I just want to take everybody kind of behind the curtain, maybe a little bit of like how the Hawaii Bowl comes into fruition, because obviously we know that there's offers and these, but like, how do you settle on like, hey, this is the bowl that we're going to go to? Because we know that it's like, there's a lot of, endeavoring to get there too. Because it's like, all right, well, we got to get fans there. We got to get, all of our, all the trucks and all of our equipment and things like that. So how does that like decision come down? Like, hey, this is where we're going to go. This is the game we're going to play in.
Yeah, sure. It is a little bit unique in terms of the Hawaii Bowl opportunity, because it wasn't one that's necessarily in the Americans lineup. So that made it a little bit unique too. The conference office came to us early in the season and said that it's very likely that could switch to one of our bowls, but it's going to need to be, someone's going to need to commit to do it. And certainly with the distance involved and in some manners, the date being on Christmas Eve, it's something that some people shy away from. But once we qualified for bowl eligibility, it was something Coach Golish and I talked about, and a combination of a lot of things. When you look at the date that's involved, being 24th, that could be a challenge for some, but allows, Coach liked it because it allowed us to stay together and practice all the way through before we leave later in the week to head out to Hawaii. Allows them to play the game, and we will leave right after the game and get back to Tampa, midday on Christmas Day, which will still allow our players and staff to kind of enjoy that. So we kind of like that. Like the continuity of playing together, and then the destination and the operations of itself are really, really good. Sometimes you might shy away from it from a financial standpoint. And the good thing about this bowl, they've adjusted over the time and the feedback, because they do provide one of the charter jets so the team can get over there, and that helps minimize a lot of expense, which is important. And then unlike most bowl games where you have a pretty considerable ticket allotment where you have to make sure your fans buy all those, you might be on the hook for a big unused ticket bill. This is one that doesn't have any ticket obligations with it. So a combination of knowing that not many of our fans could get over there realistically was part of what entered into our business decision. But when you kind of put all that into one big consideration, we thought it was awesome. I mean, just a chance to continue our elevation of our program by having back-to-back bowl seasons, to go to a place that's really special that very, very few, if any, of our players have ever had a chance to go to. And then to be able to be on a great national television window on ESPN on Christmas Eve, where people can still see it and gather around the fireplace in some places of the country, or certainly have a time of togetherness to watch the Bulls. So all things considered, when we thought about the continuity, great destination, great amenities during the bowl itself for an experience for our student athletes, we just thought it was the right thing for us, and it just all kind of came together. So when we were able to kind of raise our hand early in the process to the conference that we would be willing to do that, it was kind of taking a bird in the hand, right? Because it announced a little bit early. We could have waited a couple of days later, and maybe we would have been shipped to some other bowl, and you just didn't have that in your hands. But once we knew something that Coach and I were comfortable with, we raised our hand, volunteered, and our guys are ecstatic about it.
I love it. I think this is a huge thing for our area. I know a lot. I haven't heard one person that thought this was a bad idea, just as far as the optics at the very least, right? Because I think this helps you going forward. Like, hey, USF is willing to go out there and to travel, put yourself on this scale. And you're also making a memory. I've asked a bunch of people in the last couple of weeks, have you ever even been to Hawaii? And people say no. And these are grown-ups, right? These kids are going to be able to take a trip. And we see it, maybe a little bit more with like some of our basketball. We see the tournaments early on in the season, going to Bahamas, going to Myrtle Beach, doing these different things. But man, how much does this help you moving forward, MK, as far as, maybe it's recruiting or just even maybe outside just the football of just other people like, hey, we're willing to do these type of things to really expose our brand nationally and internationally.
Yeah, I think it's a big brand play. I think you're right, Jay. I mean, and to play on Christmas Eve, playing a kind of a bowl that people even, our current players, people my age, my parents, people always kind of associate, cool games, whether it was the old Pro Bowl, whether it's in the Aloha Bowl or the current Hawaii Bowl for all these years. It's just a cool brand connection with a very, obviously a pinnacle kind of destination like Honolulu and Hawaii. So and when you combine that with everything else that we're doing with recent years of the injection of investment and the way that not only we have poured into it, but our fans, and to be able to have a chance for this to, it starts with facilities. It starts with the ability to make sure we have an excellent student athlete experience. And when you can play and do all the things we've done and have a year end situation where our players are going to Honolulu, that's a pretty special trip. And you're right. At the end of the day, we're in the memory making business for those fans that do decide to go there. And certainly most importantly for our student athletes and staff, it's unbelievable. I mean, when I was there, when I was a high school senior, my basketball team played in a tournament there in Honolulu, and it's something I still remember to this day with my teammates and playing. So when this was all coming together, I was like, man, thinking about our 100 some odd guys that have never been, they're going to have a time of their lives, and hopefully, find the right balance to go out there and secure this, fight for this bowl win. And if we can, and a great experience with another winning season, it's just another great step in the right direction for USF football.
I love what you said there. We're in the memory making business. And I feel like that is really applicable to pretty much every business out there. Like when you're trying to put yourself out there, you're trying to grow your brand, when people have options, like you want to make memories. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. When we're on our deathbed, we're not going to be worrying about what our bank account looks like. We're going to think about all the games we went to. I know one of the things I'm going to be thinking about is going to Tuscaloosa this year and seeing and being a little speck on the field at Bryant-Denny when there's 100,000 people there, and remembering how USF went toe to toe with one of the most venerable programs in college football. And to watch how many people were there. I mean, just let's focus on that one game there, because unfortunately, USF came up short. But I can't tell you, there was 4 people in the press box covering that from USF. The rest of the 75 people were there from Alabama. And to look down at that section and see how many green and gold were there, I mean, it's got to fill you with pride, Michael, to be able to see that, to know, like, man, because you don't always get that. And I ask Coach Goles this a lot, because he's always process, not result, process. But I also think every once in a while it's good to like kind of stop and smell the roses a little bit and be like, we're on the right track. Was that kind of like an inclination a little bit of like, hey, of course we don't want to just compete in games, we want to win like this, but as far as the support, as far as going toe to toe for the second year, you can kind of see the tangible progress of not just the team but the program as a whole?
Oh, I absolutely can. And there's some people agree with things, no matter, on one side and not on the other, no matter what you do. But when we play games, like we know it's a very formidable task to go to Alabama on the road and to play games like that, and we haven't shied away from it. And while we didn't come out with the victory that we still absolutely want, and that's our goal to keep moving toward, it's like, if you don't play those games, you don't have the opportunity to win those games, right? And so we're proud to have that chance and to balance it out as we continue to get better in our conference. And I look at it as a two-way opportunity, right? How do you build the brand and the business in a relatively young program and in a pro market like ours? I think you have to be a little bit different. So that's why it's cool that we've got the Alabamas and the Miamis and the Floridas on our schedule, and as we have in recent years. And then obviously we've got a formidable league that we have not yet won that we need to do. And that's one of our primary goals. And now even more so, because that can very well lead into the college football playoff access point. So we're excited about it. We think it's a great opportunity to play games like that. Our fans want it deep down. Our players, obviously they want it. They obviously stepped up and played a really good game in both cases. And what to do, it shows you, it measures you up against who's considered amongst the best, right? And so that doesn't, it's no embarrassment to lose a game in the last 5 minutes to Alabama. It shows, all right, man, we went toe to toe for 55 minutes. How do we get to the 60 minutes? And so it usually requires depth, usually requires more recruiting. And what else can we learn in that process? And that's what I'm proud of us. But in the meantime, our fans loved it. People over both those games the last 2 years, I mean, just think, I guess about 8 million people have watched the Bulls go toe to toe with a great program like that. And it raises some respect in that regard, and kind of shows where we stand and where we still need to go.
I thought you did a really good thing in just the entire athletics department as a whole. You guys were pretty much on the forefront of the NIL thing. You saw the wave that was coming. You didn't dip your toe in the water. You were like, hey, we need to get behind our student athletes right off the rip. And now we see. And some people will look at it as, it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. And, there needs to be some type of governing of it. I mean, I still think it's hard, because I still think we are in the infancy of it. But how much has it changed since you made that initial foray into like, hey, we're doing the NIL? And, is this something that changes a lot? Is it something that you guys have a really good grasp on? Like, what is your take on the whole NIL situation?
Well, it's amazing to think how much has changed in such a short period of time. I mean, I came to this role here at USF in 2018. This really still wasn't on the radar at then. It didn't become official until 2021 when NIL became even possible. So now here we are in 2024. It's going into potentially a brand new era here in the next summer where full-blown revenue sharing is possibility. So really it's really just been a need to realize the changing tides that are happening. You've got to realize that we look at it as an opportunity at USF. We know that we're in a unique situation because we are relatively young. We are in a conference that we are right now, not through any lack of support or investment or anything like that. It's just really a matter of history and circumstance, right? There's teams that we might very well invest as much in that are in certain leagues that we call the P4 now that are certainly deserve to be there. I'm not saying they don't. But they were there because they just happened to be 100 years old or they were in the right place at the right time. We didn't have that benefit, but what we do have now is to learn what's happening now, to make sure we understand it as best we can, and to be able to try to put everything we can forward to make sure that we measure up to whatever they say the new rules of engagement are. And so that's what we've been trying to navigate. When it was cost of attendance, we went there. When it was being able to provide more nutrition and everything, we went there to the tune of a couple $1 million more in our new nutrition program. When it came to adding more into staffing and recruitment resources, we did that. When we came to adding Alston money, which was, awards that can be provided for tethered to academic performance, we did that. So we keep trying to figure out what's changing, what can we show that we're doing. And then, oh, by the way, at the same time, we're building an operations building, just built an indoor and building a stadium as well. So people that want to kind of look back and just say, oh, you should have had that before. Hey, that's not really a fair critique. This is a young institution. This is an institution that invested appropriately into academics and research, became an AAU institution, and we're only a 28-year-old program in terms of from football. So yes, we want everything in the society the way we want it right now. And I wish we did, but I'm really proud of the trajectory we're on, and we'll keep building. And our time will come when the time comes, and you just have to believe in everything that you do. And it starts with, to me, you build like a great foundation. You pour into your players, you pour into your student athlete experience, you pour into facilities, you build a community, and we're having an opportunity to do that here, and that makes it a lot of fun. And so this is a huge opportunity for us. We got to adjust. And so the way I look at NIL is that we had to modernize. We put a lot of faith in the statement that I keep saying that we want to build a model athletic department for modern times. We don't have to change things that have been in existence for 120 years. We've only been here for a much shorter period than that. So we can be more nimble. We need to be more nimble. And now all we have to do is keep focusing on the alignment we have, keep focusing on the investment we have, keep learning from our coaches and from our players about what's the right thing for the right mix for what we need today. And then we need to continue to grow our fan base. And that's not a critique of our fan base. That's just the reality of we got to grow it, and we're young. We got to grow it. So if everyone that wants us to be where we all say we want to be, keep coming on the bandwagon, because it's been a lot of fun now with this new stadium coming on, with back-to-back bowl games, with the basketball championship last year, with a lot of good momentum we have in so many things. Let's keep pouring into it. Let's love on these kids, and let's have a good time as a representative of USF and the whole Tampa Bay community.
You got that right. And yeah, it's a good foray into the the Yuengling Center last year, what the men's basketball team was able to do. And how is Coach Fletcher and the team? And it's just such unique circumstances from what happened to Coach Amir. How have they held up? How have they, what do you assess? It's so hard to excuse me, because it's so much, to me, as much as you want them to win, and of course watch all the games, but I just think about them as human beings and what they've had to deal with. And then saw what you post on social media that that now there's an award, a citizens award of in recognition of Amir Abdur-Rahim. Just take us through the men's basketball program, how they've been doing, and the decision to have a award in his name.
Yeah, obviously it's been a tremendously hard fall for this whole program, this whole community, and certainly for the family itself. And so we're all kind of dealing with it in our own ways. But I do think most, beyond the family itself, it is his basketball family that he helped create. And I think they've held up remarkably well. They've been extremely resilient. They've been extremely great representatives, and continue to play hard and play well. And we've had a really challenging schedule right now. They've won the games they should. They've been right in the middle of games. I think they gave Florida the best game that they've had. They went toe to toe at Loyola Chicago. They played a admirable game at Utah State this past weekend. So to me, it's like, how do we keep getting better and getting ready for this conference play, which kind of falls pretty similar to the path we ran last year, right? We were about in the same spot, ironically. Right. And so now we got to get better over this next couple of weeks when we have a chance to practice and be together and get ready for this conference play, which seems to be a wide open league, and that's what we want to go ahead and do again. So I'm proud of them. I think Coach Fletcher's kept them together extremely well. The staff's working hard, but they put the priorities first, right? You got to make sure these young men are cared for, that we're giving them the space and the respect that they need. But they're playing hard. I think it's just a matter of continuing to play together and continue to learn each other and go forward to the conference play with the best rotations available and the best best focus on making sure we can challenge for this conference title. So I feel very confident going into conference play, and I'm very proud of them. But I'm mostly proud of them because the way they've stuck together, the way they've celebrated his honor. And when you look at Amir, there's been we've said it before, but it just kind of shows just how special it was. It's hard to process when you just think, wow, he was only here for one season. And the impact he made was almost similar to someone that might have been here for 30 seasons, right?
Right. Decades. Yep.
It was one season, it was one championship, but the fact that he, as we've talked about, collaborated, embraced the entire campus community. He cared about the Tampa Bay community. Everything was electric, as you well know better than anyone, about at the Angling Center, even heading into the NIT last year. So he brought this community together. It would be a shame for us not all to stay together because of it, and to not kind of celebrate what he did for this program and to continue it forward as we head into conference play. So, we've named the student section after him. The conference office is doing special dedications. You saw pretty much every arena in college basketball do something in Amir's honor. And then just this past weekend, as you alluded to, the university, through President Law's leadership, gave what's in essence the highest award that the university president can bestow on someone from being the community Citizens Award, and that was given posthumously to Amir, that his wife and family accepted. So that's a big deal. It's not likely. Think about it. It's hard to imagine a one-year basketball coach be given the highest award in a university, but it's totally fitting because of what he did, not just on the basketball court, because it wasn't given for that. It's because the way he just galvanized the student body and the whole university, that made it a really point of pride for the University of South Florida.
Yeah, and like you said, we're in the memory making business, and it's crazy that in 1 year, Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim made that many memories on our community.
That's probably the biggest thing, besides being sad about missing my friend, is thinking about that. I was like, that was 1 year. Yeah. He did all that in 1 year. Seems like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, man. The one and only Michael Kelly, VP of Athletics over at USF. MK, appreciate your support over the years. You're doing such a great job. You're the right man at the helm to usher us into a new, era of USF athletics. So thank you so much for your time. Safe travels to Hawaii. Make sure you pack some sunscreen, and have a great holiday. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jay. Best luck to you. Look forward to seeing you at the Angling Center soon.
Thanks, buddy. The one and only Michael Kelly, USF Athletics. Right guy.